Thank you. All right, let me share my screen. Let me know, guys, if you wouldn't mind giving me a quick chat in the question box to let me know that you can hear me okay and that you can see my desktop. Crickets. Anybody? There we go. All right. Thanks, guys. Well, today is our Wednesday QA session. This is, as I like to say, this is really your webinar. I'm going to go ahead and present for about the first half hour. I'm going to show some details that will really appeal to really both components of our audience, the subscribers and non-subscribers. I'll take the first part and I'll do an overview of the product and give a clear differentiation of what's included in our premium as well as our standard subscription. Let me just start off by giving our standard disclaimer. Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor. We're a software technology firm. So that being said, please don't construe any symbols that I'm talking about today as investment advice. This is an educational webinar. And hopefully at the end of this webinar, everybody's going to have a very, very clear understanding of what Trade Ideas can do for you and how we approach idea generation in the marketplace. Before I get into the agenda, I do want to highlight this one topic. Trade Ideas, we've been around for 14 years. As a result of that, Trade Ideas is not really a software program. It's really a platform. There is a lot you can do with it. And as such, it can be confusing, it can be intimidating, and we want to make sure that any new subscriber is not intimidated with the technology. And we do a variety of efforts to make sure that that is the case. First and foremost, every new subscriber gets a one-on-one training session with our educators. Our educators are professional traders. They're also experts in the use of Trade Ideas technology. So the two of those components come together to really give you a very first-rate training session that's catered to your desktop. We do screen sharing. We ideally connect to your desktop if you don't mind that. We could do it on ours, but if we're on yours, then we can really customize the setup according to your desire. So that's first and foremost is that training. But in addition to that, we have, I mean, if I was to do one thing with this webinar, and that's to convey to you, please, please, please attend and go to our trading room. We have a trading room that's offered to our subscribers and non-subscribers alike. It's really free. Well, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to get into it, but it's moderated by Barry Anderson. He's a fantastic trader, a great moderator, an expert user in Trade Ideas, and he's sharing his screen from the market open to the market close, even a little bit before the market open. And it's not just about Barry, although it could be. It's really about a community of professional traders, people that know how to extract alpha, how to pull money from the market. So I'm going to kind of deviate from the slide here. I'm going to go ahead and take you to our website. And I just want to highlight this menu item here up at the top. This is the live trading room. So please take an opportunity to visit that. It's an incredible resource as incredible trades are being called out throughout the day. And not only is Barry sharing a screen, he's commentating on different setups that are occurring and different trades that he happens to be participating in. So that is the one thing to take away. Please go there. Please check it out. I assure you, once you spend a little bit of time there, it's going to be part of your daily routine. So in addition to that, we also provide a variety of different webinars throughout the week. We have a webinar, an office hours webinar on Monday. It's done with, I believe, Jamie and Andy put that particular webinar on. We also have a webinar Wednesday evening in addition to this one right here. We have one at 7:30 Eastern Time. That's our Trade of the Week webinar. That's put on by Steve Gomez. And then we have Jamie's Studio, which is put on by Steve and Jamie on Thursday. So there are a variety of different interactive sessions so that if you have any questions on the tool, in addition to full help resources with the support desk, you always have access to these resources right here. So let's kind of regress right back into the agenda. I want to make sure everybody understands what the standard is, what the premium is, what comes with both of those product sets. I also want to talk about some of the ideas that were generated today from the Trade Ideas technology. Ideas that were generated from our channels, ideas that were generated from the trading room, as well as ideas that were generated from our artificial intelligence, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and minimize the presentation and just pull up our software. This is our flagship product. This is our downloadable C# application. It's a thick client, but it's really not. All the heavy lifting, all the processing is done on our servers, so it's a very, very light client, but it's a downloadable, so therefore we call it a thick client. So this is standard Trade Ideas Pro. Trade Ideas Pro comes with all the analytics that you see here. It comes with the channel bar, which is over on the left-hand side of the market. This is the remote control to the market. This allows you, a new user, even an experienced one, but a new user mostly, to get started right away without really having to understand how to configure the tool. See, we've gone through all these different channels right here, and the professionals at Trade Ideas have pre-configured all these different themes with the variety of different Trade Ideas visualization windows that are at your disposal. Right now, we happen to be looking at the pre-market channel. This is the channel that's on. This is something that I would look at, for instance, before the market opens and see exactly what stocks are gapping up, what stocks are gapping down. Also, I have streaming windows. So the windows with a T, these are list-based windows. And then I have windows with an M and with an A, and these are event-based windows where some action is happening and it's going to identify that action. So this is not only a way to get started right away, but it's also a way to see how, it's an educational tool because it's a way to see how we've configured these windows so that you can take anything that we've done and really customize it to your own environment, customize it to your setup, the type of stocks that you trade, and really make it your own. And that's the whole idea of Trade Ideas. Trade Ideas it's a piece of clay, but it's really meant to be shaped the way that you want it. So I'm gonna kind of fly up into the helicopter real quick, and before I continue to talk about the specifics of the windows, I want to kind of do an overview of Trade Ideas so that everybody understands what it is that we do. I guess the easiest way to sum it up would be to say that Trade Ideas, we consider ourselves a premier idea generation technology. It could be likened to 1,000 pairs of eyes sitting next to you while you're trading, being your trading assistant, looking for opportunities for you. I mean, there's absolutely no way that you would be able to scan all the symbols that are out there in real time and spot opportunities that exist on the 20,000 plus securities that we're monitoring in real time. So at Trade Ideas in our data center, we connect to all the different exchanges. We connect to the NASDAQ, NYSE, we connect to the options exchange, we connect to StockTwits for social data, and we bring all this together, and we have other fundamental sources that we connect to, and we connect and bring it all together in our data center and have all this real-time data being databased. So for every tick that happens on every single trade, we're databasing that, and when we're databasing at the same time we're putting this in our own system, we're also creating metrics that are special to only Trade Ideas users into the Trade Ideas environment. These metrics are what we call derived data points, data that's specific to Trade Ideas. Something that you wouldn't find in any other application. So while you have access to the volume for the day and the change for the day on percent, you also have access to very interesting data that doesn't exist in other places, like relative volume. What kind of volume is occurring right now compared to normal? How about social volume? How much is the stock being talked about right now compared to normal? And it's that normalization that we keep, and when something abnormal happens, whether it's something that moves an abnormal amount, we're perfectly suited to be able to provide that information right to you. And so depending upon the channel that you're looking at, you're going to be ingesting different themes. So for instance, if I go to the social media channel, now I have all of these windows that populated, the 2 charts and the 4 other analytic windows. They're all centered around social media in some capacity or another. So in this particular window, every symbol that I'm looking at, I got to turn off a program here. I'm getting dinged like it's going out of style. Hold on. Okay. So every symbol that you see in this window right here, every single symbol is being talked about much more than normal on social media, and we keep that metric. That metric is StockTwits relative activity. And just like we're keeping relative activity for a stock's movement, for a stock's volume, we're keeping that relative activity for social mentions, and I can tell that XCOM, for instance, is being talked about 6,000 times normal. This happened to be a stock that was in play today, all looking at this in our trading room, and a tremendous amount of volatility that exists. And that's what we're doing. We're out seeking out this type of volatility, seeking out this type of price action so that you have the ability in real time to capitalize on that type of move. Every one of these windows, as I mentioned, can be configured and customized, and all the windows in Trade Ideas, whether it's a chart, a top list window, or a multi-strategy window, they all have this context-sensitive right-click menu. If I want to modify a strategy, I just right-click and I select Configure, and then I can modify this particular strategy. It's a pretty simple strategy here. The main thing that we're looking at is we're looking at a sort order for stock to its relative activity. Here's this really interesting window in the bottom right, unusual social mentions today. So this is giving me all the stocks, whether they're up or down, and I can see very quickly, based on the color coding, whether they're up or down. But then I can also see this list of stocks that were really being spoken about that may be something that you want to put on your watch list. Or even more so, and I'll talk about it later, use one of our premium functionalities to go ahead and put a price alert in. This is not part of the standard product, but if you had a premium subscription, you could put a price alert in on any particular stock, and when that threshold gets crossed, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, or next year, it's going to go ahead and give you an alert. So for instance, visually on here, I can see there's a tremendous amount of consolidation on this stock, and I personally want to be alerted to it if it decides to break out of that consolidation. So I'm going to put my cursor at a level that I feel appropriate, and then I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to create a price alert. I'll go more into this as I talk about the premium functionality, but it's using all of these different tools together that will end up allowing you to spot these incredible trades and participate while they're making 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% of a move. Another one of my favorite channels is the Surge channel. So the Surge channel, again, has a variety of different windows. It has a top list window, a couple alert windows, 3 alert windows, a multi-strategy window, chart, a compare count. This is something that's pretty unique. It's a little bit anemic right now after hours, but during the market, this is a window that's giving you a real-time feel of, are the bulls winning, are the bears winning, are the buyers winning, or the, are the sellers winning? And it's not whether a stock is up or down, but it's the breadth. It's how's that stock trading? How's it moving right now? And so this is giving you a visual indication. Is this market a buyer's market or is it a seller's market? So that's the compare count window. And just like every other window, it's a window that can be customized. If you don't want to look at just new highs and new lows, maybe you want to look at stocks that are making new highs on 2 times relative volume that have an average daily volume of XXX. That's the type of modification that you could do. So I talked a little bit about the top list window, that ranked list of stocks. This is a window that's going to populate with all the symbols that meet your criteria and then rank it in a particular manner at your choosing. And then once those symbols are populated in the window, you can manipulate the data. So I've got this window that's telling me these are all symbols that have had explosive daily range. And I could look at the daily chart on the last candle, and this is going to tell me that this has had a pretty big range for the day by comparison. I also have this metric over on the right, today's range percentage. But then any of the criteria that you want. So, here's a stock, an incredible move today. It's only, but it started the day out in the $2.50 range. By using this technology, and these are talked about in our trading room, all of this happened to be, but again, it was part of a point of discussion in the trading room, and Holly had an incredible trade. This is our AI engine, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when I get into the premium. But just know that any of these columns that are visible on here are all sortable. So to manipulate this data, it's a critical aspect to being able to really get the most out of the tool. All right, so let's let me talk one more channel here. This is the options channel, and we do connect to Oprah. We do connect to the options exchange, and we bring in options data. And one of the interesting things that we do with options data is we keep that baseline. So we know, on average, what's the normal amount of options contracts that are being traded during the day. So when that option volume increases an inordinate percent, that information is going to be visible to the Trade Ideas user, and specifically this option volumes plays window is going to identify a lot of those moves that are happening on higher than normal options volume. And actually I lied. I'm going to talk about one more channel. It's kind of the hidden channel. But scroll all the way to the bottom right here, and it's the third one from the bottom. This is Barry's windows. You can see his mug right here, very handsome fella. And if you click on it, these aren't all of the windows that he uses by any stretch, but these are a good portion of some of the windows that find really interesting opportunities throughout the day. So a lot of people don't know this particular channel's here, and the nice thing is, even though it's part of the channel, you may not want to keep it as part of a channel. You may want to incorporate some of these windows into your own layout, and it's a very easy step to do. And for instance, let's say I wanted to take this option plays magic window, and I wanted to incorporate it into my own personal layout. I didn't want it to only be visible on Barry's channel. So all I need to do is I can right-click into this window, and I can select the pinned option. Now the pinned option is going to allow this window to stay visible even after I click on another channel and erase the windows. So if I go to the volume channel, for instance, this option plays magic is still here. If I was to load up my default layout, this option plays magic is here, and then I could incorporate that into my own personal workspace. So that's how you can take a window that's in a channel and incorporate it into your own personal layout. And moreover, if you want to go into it and you want to turn on all the strategies, modify a particular strategy, that's all completely up to you to do. So yeah, just know that you can take, and that was by design, you can take any window that we put together in the channel, pull it out, pop it out, and then pin it, and just make sure that it is part of your own particular layout. So along with, I'm going to touch on something a little different, along with the premium or with the standard functionality, we also include the ability to create your own custom filters. Now, it's not like you have the ability to create anything through the custom filters, but it's an incredibly powerful tool because any of the data points that we offer inside of Trade Ideas, and we do have some data points that are just variables that you can use, well, you can manipulate all of those different scenarios mathematically. So let me show you real quick. Let's go to our home page, and I'm going to go to the Support tab, or the Support menu item, and under Account Management. Now, this isn't for everybody, but for the guys that really want to take Trade Ideas to the next level, you can go into the Custom Formula Editor, and all the way at the bottom, you probably don't have, if you just started off, you wouldn't have anything populated in here, but we have this Help PDF. Pretty simple document. I always open it up in a new tab. I always have it as a reference, even for me, as I'm creating custom formulas. It's just it's a nice little roadmap to have, but it's just it's a 9-page document, and it gives you the different variables that you can use inside of this. And as a result, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I'm just going to scroll to the top here, and I'm going to go into the correct account. This is the wrong account. All right. Go to Support, Account Management, Custom Formulas. Okay, maybe I forgot my own username. All right, we'll go here. So I'm going to go into Custom Formulas. And let's just start at the top and take a look at some of the different formulas that you can put in here. So for instance, if I wanted to see the volume over the last 1 minute in shares, I could just create a custom filter for that. There's so many different things. If I wanted to see the bid price, the number of shares on the bid, if I want to see how far something is away from its 52-week high on a dollar or percentage basis, I mean, really, it's endless the number of different filters that you can create. And once you create those, let me pull up my application here, and let's just go into a new alert window, for instance. And if I go to the Search tab, and I just scroll all the way to the bottom, you're going to see all these different these little U icons, and these all represent custom filters that I've created. And you can get a flavor of what you can do. There are over a couple hundred different filters that are already set up out of the box, but this is one of my favorite ones. For instance, the volume 1 over 5 minutes. This is a great filter for finding increasing volume. So we're comparing the last 1 minute volume compared to the average minutes over the last 5 minutes, so we can see if something starts to uptick in volume. That's a nice metric to have alongside of a relative volume filter or something like that. So the custom filters, if you would like some more information on that, you can always shoot us an email to info@trade-ideas, but if you open up that PDF document, I assure you it'll be very, very helpful in understanding what we can and can't do. Okay, so another thing I want to talk about was external linking. You know, Trade Ideas, we've developed our own charts, but that doesn't mean you can't link to other charting tools or you can't link to your brokerage platform, your order entry panel, for instance. And we have a mechanism inside of TI Pro called external linking that allows us to do that. So let me go ahead and close this, and I'm going to open up a couple of Realtic windows. So this is a program formerly by Townsend Analytics. It was purchased by Easy. So it's a nice trading application, a great charting tool. It's one of the tools that I use. So to externally link to it so that when I click on a symbol in Trade Ideas, all these other windows update, I'm just going to go to Tools. I'm going to go to External Linking. I'm going to select Add Link. And I'm just going to move my cursor up to this symbol field right here, and I'm going to press and release the Shift key. Now, there are little nuances for each and every application, but this will link with about 90–95% of the applications. So I'm going to hit OK here. I'm going to hit Close. Now, when I click on a symbol, my charts are updating. The Realtic charts are updating. If I had an order entry panel up, it would. If I had a news window up, it would update. And so it's really meant to work hand in hand with your brokerage platform. This is the idea generation, drilling into the analytics. You can do that here either in Trade Ideas or inside of your favorite charting tool or the brokerage application. So please know that that's there. With interactive brokers, we do link with interactive brokers. We link to the classic window, not the mosaic window. So you need to link with the classic, but you can always use the internal linking inside of IB to link with the other window. And I do believe that you have to launch Trade Ideas and IB as an administrator for that linking to work. I could be mistaken, but that's always a great thing to try in the linking process. But if you do have a hard time linking any of the platform that you're trying, again, shoot us an email to info@trade-ideas. We'll set up a quick little desktop sharing session, connect your desktop, and see if we can get that linking. So, Jeff, there is a Schwab that we link with, and there's a Schwab that we don't. And off the top of my head, I don't know which one it is. I think it's Street Smart Pro that we link with. But shoot us an email, and we can do it interactively and try it on your desktop. Okay, so let me transition a little bit into the premium product and what you get over and above what you have here in the standard tool. So in the premium, you get everything that you see here: the alert window, top list, multi-strategy, channel bar, compare count, the charting, the external linking, custom filters, and you also get our event-based backtesting tool. Now that's something that's pretty unique, and it's not standard backtesting that you would probably be familiar with in the marketplace, where you take a look at a single symbol, go back over 10 years, and see exactly how the best way to trade that one particular stock. Well, we do something a lot different. It's event-based backtesting, where we look at an event, an alert strategy, and then hypothesize how we would have done if we would have bought or sold or performed a set of instructions for every single instance of an alert that was generated. So let me give you an example, and I'm going to kind of tie in. In fact, let me pop over to the AI channel first before I do that, because I'm going to use one of the strategies here as an example for the odds maker, and I'm going to use the quarterback strategy that triggered today. It had an incredible trade. If I do the risk off profit, it had a great trade in PMC. You can see where the call was at 23.31. This was all tradable, by the way. If you look at a tick chart, this didn't just pop up to this level right here. This did trade up, albeit it was quick. It was within a minute. But you know, you have to be prepared to be able to capitalize on some of this. So So I want to show the quarterback strategy. So let me pull it from my cloud right here, and I'm going to do two different things. I'm going to show you the quarterback strategy in its base form, and that's kind of the strategy that we feed to Holly on a daily basis. Holly then takes this base strategy that I'm going to show you and just runs it through a statistical nightmare of different scenarios. I mean, it looks at all the filters, the best way to configure it based on not only the previous 3 months data, but also today's data. So it does all of that. So let's go ahead and load up the quarterback window. So this is the strategy right here. This is a This is not the strategy that you would see in Holly. This is the strategy that Holly is working with, right? This is what we call a base strategy. And the trigger event is a pullback from the open. So it's a strong stock pulling back, giving you a nice opportunity to get in. If I take a quick look at the filters, you know, there are still a bunch of filters on this base strategy right here. Don't need to get into the details, but let's go ahead and run the back test on it. So the back test is stating, I'm not going to trade this strategy here for the first hour of the day. I'm not going to trade the last half hour of the day. This strategy I'm going to try to hold for 45 minutes. If I don't get stopped out, and my stop is going to be the smart stop, and a smart stop is really a custom value for every single security, and it's based on, well, it's based on a few different factors. It's based on the stock's relative volume, it's based on the stock's range for the day, and I think there's one more criteria in there, but it's an algorithm, so it's different for every stock based on some of the different metrics for that stock. This particular strategy I'm testing over the last 35 trading days, and I'm going to go ahead and simulate the buy. So now what it's doing on our servers, not on your computer, it's going through and it's running through all the different scenarios. Every single alert that triggered in that strategy, if it hypothesized me buying it, holding it for 45 minutes if I could, and then letting me know how it would have performed in the market. So this is the net result right here. It's giving me a profit factor of 1.25, fairly mediocre. You know, that's the sum total of all the winning trades over the sum total of all the losing trades. An incredible number of trades. I don't think I would be able to execute this number of trades in that amount of time. The average winner to loser ratio, pretty close. I'd like to see something a little stronger than that if I'm going to take confidence in a strategy. And then it gives me some metrics based on the starting equity, the amount of each transaction, and I could specify share size or dollar amount. I can put in a commission as well as a slippage. So all of these different factors come together to let me know how profitable would that strategy have been had I executed it. Well, in this particular case, doing all these 3,000 trades, I would have been eaten up in commission right here, right? I would have lost $14,000, or that would be terrible. My equity would be down to a negative $14,000, starting from a $50,000 account. So that's not very good, but if you look at the top line right here, it shows some nice potential and a good strategy. This is my gross, this is with commissions, and this is the net with slippage all at the bottom. So now let's go ahead and take the strategy that Holly used today for the quarterback. So I'm going to go into my cloud. I've already copied this out. It's called the quarterback optimized from today. So I'm going to load that up here. And I'm going to go ahead and, well, we'll leave this one up so we can compare it. But let's go ahead and run the back test on this particular strategy. And it's really, by going to configure, you're going to see it looks very similar. There are probably about 3 additional filters that have been placed on the strategy. Maybe modified another one here or there. Let's go ahead and run the back test. And it does link with Thinkorswim, the profit window. I know the profit's not the greatest window, but TDA made a change to the rest of their other windows, and this is the last window that it happens to link with. So this is now the quarterback strategy after optimization. And again, if quarterback comes out tomorrow, and I haven't even explained how it works yet, so this is going to be kind of confusing. If quarterback comes out tomorrow, it can be different than what we're seeing right here. But let's go through some of the metrics, and I'll explain how that happens. So the profit factor is a value of 5. That means it's 5 times winner over loser. That's a good number. Total number of trades, 87, 56% are winners. That's kind of low, but if you look at my average winner to loser ratio, that's pretty good. Average winner is $1, average loser is about 30 cents. So those are good metrics, and that is effectively what Holly does. Now, let me kind of regress a little bit and talk a little bit about Holly from a perspective of what she's looking at. She has 45 of these different, let me see if I can find it here. I may have closed the window. 45 of these different base strategies. Quarterback just happens to be one of them. And at the end of every single day, Holly goes through each one of these strategies using the technology from the odds maker, statistical R, and other things, and it looks to modify and refine every single strategy based on today's data as well as the previous data that it has in its storage. So it does this on every single strategy. When that's done about 10 o'clock our time, Pacific time at night, it then holds what we call our strategy combine. And each one of those 45 strategies has to meet a certain benchmark metric, both from a profit factor as well as a win percentage. Once those criteria are met, that strategy will make the cut for the next day. So based on what happened last night, all the strategies that made the cut appeared today. And these are the strategies that could have triggered possible trades today. Only 2 of them didn't trade at all. So even though there was a looking for a bounce and a Mighty Mouse strategy, both of those didn't generate any signals at all. If I stretch this window down at the bottom, these are the ideas that were generated from the artificial intelligence engine. And every day it starts off flat. Every day all positions are closed out. And when the market opens in the morning, it doesn't really know what's possibly going to trade. But these strategies are live, waiting for some type of event to occur. And when it does, it's going to populate inside of this window. Now, in the strategy trades window, we keep track of 2 different metrics. We keep track of what we call risk on, and we keep track of what we call risk off. It might be easier to explain if I kind of open up an AI window right from scratch right here. So I'm going to open up the AI window here, and I'm going to also open up the View All Trades window. And they'll come in here shortly. So the reason why I wanted to show you this view, each particular strategy has a time stop built into it. That means that cuts like a knife, it has a 30-minute time stop. That means at the end of 30 minutes, the trade idea system is going to exit you out of that position. And there are also other ways that the trade idea system could exit you out of that position. And remind, this is just informational. This is not really entering in a position or exiting. This is an information stream. So the risk on, well, let's start off with the risk off. The risk off is a scenario that's saying you're going to exit at the end of our time frame at that 30 minutes, and we're going to see exactly what the profitability of that strategy is at the end of that timed exit. The risk on, however, is hypothesizing that you're not going to exit that trade. You're going to keep that trade to the end of the day. Oftentimes, there are 2 different types of days. Well, there are a lot of different types of days, but primarily there are 2 different types of days. There are your risk-on days where it's a market that's worthy of putting your accelerator pedal down and really putting some trades on because the opportunity is presenting itself. And there are other days where it's risk-off, where the market may be a little jittery, it may be moving back and forth, it may not have the follow-through that you're looking for. Today was definitely a risk-off day. And you look at the market. So this is a 15-minute chart of the spiders right here. So this is where we opened today. You know, a little bit of a gap down, traded down pre-market, looked like we fought, but then it just completely broke. So that, you know, we put on some long positions. Some of those long positions may not do well over the course of the whole trading day because of the way that market, you know, pulled itself down. So we like to inform the users, and this is not in a version that's downloadable yet, but the guy that builds our the different versions is out this week, so I'm not going to expect one until maybe the end of the week or Monday, but this is giving you a nice indication of, is this a risk-on day or is it a risk-off day? And clearly it was a risk-off, and if I toggle any of these bars right here, you can see exactly what the difference is. So I'm clicking on the risk-on, you can see a risk-on chart. At one point today, we were up, you know, $3.70. That's a big, big move on this few number of trades. So there are a couple that really performed well. CHK, that was a nice mover. Let me close down my real tick here. Let's close down that window, and let's just pull up some of the charts, and we can see exactly what happened on Holly today. So let's go ahead and sort this on a risk-off profit, and take a look at PMC. We already kind of touched on that one. Incredible move. I mean, these are the types of things that, you know, you look back 2 minutes later and you go, why wasn't I aware of that? Well, if you were watching these windows, you would have been aware of that type of move. CHK, another great opportunity, and you can see the annotations over here on the right. Buried beneath that green annotation right there is a blue one. That's letting you know where that price is that we got into it. We got into this at 59.91. That's right at this point right here, and this stock, went up to $61 over a pretty short period of time. So the quarterback strategy really performed well today on these two particular trades. Alpha Predator has been an incredible strategy lately, finding really great momentum opportunities. OSUR, and you can see where we got into this one right below the 774 in relatively short time. It moved up to the 818 level. This was a great trade too. If you were watching the horseshoe down really does look for that type of momentum break, and it gave you this alert before the real break took this break took place. Now it did have a great rally, but this horseshoe down, well, it was a time stop. So yeah, this time stop would have got us out here, but we have other algorithms in place. We have a profit save algorithm that actually closed out for 36 cents profit on this particular trade. So when this went down 36 cents and then moved back up, it decided that we want to lock in some profits, just like a human trader would. And so it utilizes that technique, either a risk reduce after an inordinate amount of time in the trade where it's just not performing, it's not moving like it should, or if we do that profit save where we want to lock in some of the profits. So there are a lot of great calls in Holly today, but also in the trading room. And so I encourage you, like I said earlier, to go to that trading room. You're going to find calls that they were trading like LCI. Incredible opportunity to be in that today. Let's see, HDSN, XGTI. This is a great one. And look at that percentage move that this thing had early on, and you see these volume bars. These volume bars, that's what we're looking for. That's what we're able to spot, in real time. So as soon as these volume bars start to get extraordinary, that's when the system is able to identify this as something that is definitely noteworthy. All right, so let's see here. A couple of the other trades. TOPS, SRPT. Okay, fat fingered that one. It's just kind of volatility that we're looking for. iTech. And the great thing is this thing is going both long and short. I would have suspected it would have put on a few more shorts today, but we really aren't in control of what Holly puts on. It goes through and it finds these filters and has no idea what's going to be coming through the system in the next day. Let me just lastly show you guys a couple implementations that we have here. So TI Pro Web. So I'm anticipating very, very short order that TI Pro Web is going to be having the embedded charts in it. Very soon thereafter, it's going to be having Holly inside of it. So for Mac users, you're going to have a couple of options. You're not going to just have to use the Parallels or the VMware environment. You're going to be able to use a very, very robust web-based version. It's an HTML5 version, which gives you, free-floating windows, a very robust type of environment. So, you can just move your windows around, and all the cloud links, anything that you may have saved in your own cloud in the application is easily transferable right here to the web. So all of the very same windows and components are available, the same use of the cloud. It's all right there. We also have implementations inside of Scottrade, inside of eTrade, inside of eSignal. So let me bring Scott in. He's going to talk a little bit about our pricing, and then I'll take some questions that may not have been answered, or if you have some questions directly for me, feel free to fire them away. Scott, are you there?
Yeah, hey. Thanks for a great presentation so far. Something we like to do to thank everyone that joins us is to give them a little way to save if they decide to either upgrade their subscription or become a subscriber based on the webinar. So the code that you see up there, questions, all caps, it is case sensitive, will let you save 15% off either the premium products for the first month or the year, or 10% off of the first month or year of the standard product. You can get there by just going to trade-ideas.com/price. And also, if you look at your handouts panel on your GoToWebinar interface and click the expand, the little plus on there, there's a PDF sitting there that has both this slide and another slide that has our contact information. So it's a handy little thing to download. So if you want to use this week to go ahead and pick up Trade Ideas Premium or Standard subscription, go ahead and do that. The Standard includes all of your real-time exchange fees and the charting, all kinds of great stuff. Also the training, the full hour of one-on-one hour power training to sign up for as soon as you subscribe. Naturally, the premium does as well. It also includes access to the AI Holly, the price alerts, our backtesting tool, the odds maker, and some other high-level items. And the premium is $18.88 a year, which saves you a lot over the $188 per month. The standard is only $99 a month to start with, or you can get it for $888 per year if you decide you don't need the premium features. So go ahead and go to trade-ideas.com/price, use that code. The recording of this webinar will be up some point later tonight or tomorrow, so you can check it out again, and the code will be good through the end of the month. Brad?
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. All right, so one last thing before we can take some questions here. I'm going to put this, I want to show you guys the price alerts. So the price alerts, this is how the price alerts get utilized in our system, how someone that, how a trader would really take this technology and use it to their advantage. So here was a stock that was really consolidating for a good portion of the day. And what I had done and what I'd like to do on a lot of different consolidations, but also primarily on Holly trades, and I'll show you what I do with Holly trades, but when something's consolidating like this, I like to bookend it, and by that I mean put a price alert above it and below it. So I look at the channel and I kind of speculate where do I want that to be. Put the top line here, the bottom line here, and right here I got a price alert, and so this was my price alert window. EGRX, this was a short from above, because what happened at this point right here, it happened to trigger that threshold that I had crossed. And so I was presented with this pop-up right here that gives you the ability to capitalize on these moves. I mean, the ability to see, the great thing about it, this may not have happened today, this may not have happened tomorrow, but when it does, you're able to capitalize on these support breaks or these resistance crosses, and the price alerts are phenomenal for that. And to take it one step further, what people do and what Barry does, what we do with these price alerts that are incredible is we take the Holly signals for today and we create a watch list for that. And let me show you how to do it. So first of all, you can see everything is, I have a row here, a gray row. I don't want that. I want to be able to just highlight a column. So to do that, I need to go into the Tools section, go to Options, and I'm going to make sure that this section or this selection is unchecked. Highlight grid row upon selection. So now when I do that, I'm just highlighting a single column or a single cell. But what I want to do is I want to take these symbols right here that were triggered today in Holly, and I'm going to use my Control-C Windows shortcut, and I'm going to go up to Tools, and I'm going to go to Symbol List, and I'm going to create a new list, and I'm going to call this Holly Calls 8/24/16. Now I'm going to go into that symbol list. Right now there's nothing in it. I'm going to edit it, and I'm just going to do a quick paste and hit OK. Now there are 11 symbols in that particular list. Now tomorrow, these symbols aren't going to be in Holly, but what I can do is I'm going to close this down, and I'm going to open up a new top list window. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take all the filters out of it. I don't need any filters because I'm looking at a particular list. So I could do this, I could delete them, or I could go right here on the Strategies tab and double-click the Start from Scratch. Now it's completely empty. But what I want to do is I want to look at a particular symbol list. So I'm going to go to the Symbol List tab. I'm going to add an existing list, and I'm going to scroll down. I can't remember what I called it. Holly calls. And I'm just going to select that. So only the following list is going to be looked at. And then what I need to do is decide what columns do I want to show, what's important. And this is where you can get really creative with the trade ideas data. So I want price, I want company name, I want change from the close, did it have earnings? Sure. Maybe I want to see if it's gapping up tomorrow. Position and range, that's always good information. Relative volume happens to be my favorite filter, and you can do anything. You can add all those. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK right here. We're going to call this Holly watch list and hit OK. So this is my watch list now, and I've got the trade ideas data, some of it anyway, and I could add more, but I can see the relative volume, the position and range, where are those guys, this is the gap. Then what I can do is I can go ahead and save this window to my cloud, pull it up tomorrow. Right click, save or share to cloud. We'll just save this one window, Holly watch list. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. In fact, I can hit save right there. So when I want to pull it up the next time, I just go to my cloud, pull up my Holly watch list, hit load, and it's exactly as I looked at it. Now, the next day, I may have more symbols come through, and I may want to add it to that, but since I put a date on there, I may want to create a new list. Call it Holly Calls 825 and dump it into that, and then go back into my window and configure it and add that second symbol list. So you can do it either way, but that's been really fruitful. So I think that endeavor has been really, really positive. So right now, Holly is not available for iPad users, but like I said, we are incorporating this technology into our HTML5 version, and it's going to have some really cool stuff. It's not going to just be a port of the C#, but it's going to have some great innovations. And at that time, it'll be available. And I don't have a date, but it is being actively worked on right now in development. I suspect it'll be at some point in early Q4. So probably 2 months it'll be available for consumption. Maybe sooner, but I can't tell. So interactive brokers, is it on the radar with integration for trade ideas? What we are doing right now, another active development project for our dev team, is incorporating Brokerage Plus. So if I go to New and I select this Brokerage Plus, this allows me to execute trades through a broker partner. Right now, we connect only to Lightspeed, but we are building the active connection to interactive brokers, and effectively what that's going to allow you to do. Let me open up the Strategies tab. Let me open up the Positions tab. So the Strategies tab, this is where I can drop any cloud link, alert window, and use that as a strategy, or I can go in and create one from scratch right here, or add a collaboration link and give it the information. This is strikingly similar to your odds maker config screen, but it's a little more specific to an order with a broker. You tell it how long you want to hold it, what type of order you want to put in, stops, profit targets, all that good stuff. And then you turn a strategy on. Once a strategy's on, it's listening for something to occur, and then when a position or when a symbol comes through one of those alert strategies, it's going to automatically put that position on and manage it accordingly. Manage it based on your stop loss, based on your profit target, based on your time exit. But you can also treat it as a gray box, so you can have it initiate your positions, and then you can get in and you can manage them, and you could flatten them, double them, manipulate them if you so choose. So David, Holly is at this point is not meant to be auto-traded. Holly is a stream of information. It's an actionable stream of information, but it is not a red light, green light system. All right, so I'm scanning the questions here to see what I may have missed. So guys, I kind of ran out of my stuff to talk about, but if you have any questions right now, I'd be more than happy to address them or answer them best I can. All righty. Well, let me pull up one page here on the presentation that has our contact information, has our Twitter handles. We can be reached on Twitter at @TradeIdeas1 or @TradeIdeas. We have a Facebook page. My email is brad@tradeideas.com. You got the info one earlier. So White Rabbit, what's your question? So White Rabbit, this is why we call Holly a stream, right? Holly is a stream because it's meant to be articulated with some type of human involvement. We do provide some analytics on the screen that should help your decision-making process. If I go back to the AI channel, I want to point out a few things that you should be looking at when a signal is generated. When a signal is generated, we have this component here, our risk on, risk off, compare count window. I like to see a clear delineation in a trend. If I'm buying stocks, I would prefer to see at least a 60% green bar, 59% green bar. I'm very, very skeptical of buying when I see that the red risk off is much greater than the green. So this is a leading indicator that I think is really important to the confirmation signals that would be coming through Holly. Also the spiders. It's important that, as the market is breaking down like this, that you have to use critical thinking. If the AI engine called out a long play in the middle of this breakdown, you have to assess the risk, and you have to assess whether the market is a good opportunity to putting that trade on. And not all stocks follow the market. There are incredible long opportunities through this down move right here. So the market's not always working in parity, or the broader market's not always in parity with the securities, but it's putting the odds in your favor. Also, I really suggest that, and I think you've been in the trading room, but listen to what Barry's talking about, because when a Holly signal is generated inside of the trading room, oftentimes it's articulated and talked about and conversed. And then one of the things, once a signal is generated, it doesn't mean you always take that. But if you look at this profit change last 5 minutes, as well as the risk on profit by comparison to the risk off profit, and that's kind of a lot of gobbledygook, but what it's doing is it's looking at how that stock is performing right now compared to when it was exited out of the position. And what we find is, let's take FLKS for instance. We exited out of that position here with a 27-cent loser. It happened to continue to go down. So this is not a great example, but if in fact the stock had turned around at some point and started to break up, you're going to start to see this risk on profit start to get closer back to 27 cents. And when it gets back to 27 cents down, then you know that this thing has made its way all the way back to that point. And when it gets to a risk on profit of 0, that's where the original signal was generated. And what we find so often is that when that thing moves from a negative to a 0 to a positive threshold, that's when the move is really starting to take place. And so each one of these Holly signals doesn't mean that that's the only time that you could have made that call. That symbol is in play for the day. It's in play for the day because it was identified because of some footprint, some leading factor that said this symbol is something that you should be watching because something extraordinary is happening. And the questions come in. Let's see here. So Mark, are the strategies in Holly adaptive to the current market conditions? Absolutely. So the strategies inside of Holly, for the most part, not all of them, but for the most part, have filtering that is in line with the broader market. But that doesn't mean that you can't, for instance, let me give you an example. So one strategy may be saying, I'm not going to get long. You're not going to put a position on unless the spiders are positive for the day. And then there are others that say, well, I don't need the spiders to be positive, but I need the spiders over the last 15 minutes to be positive or to be up at least this percentage. So it does a lot of those metrics. And in fact, if you go into, say, the alert window and you type in the search area and we type in spiders. So these are the different spider S&P metrics that we can modify, and oftentimes one or more of these filters are in place. Or it could be not the www, but the Qs. So, I could be looking at NASDAQ, or I could be looking at the Dow. So these are some of the leading indicators that are tied to the different strategies. All right, let's see here. Is the risk on-off for a specific sector of the market? It's not, Lou. And so that doesn't mean that one trade couldn't be risk on and the other trade's risk off. So everything is independent. But what we're telling you right here, we're giving you kind of a broader market scenario, more of a kind of an overview, if you will, that this market right now, while some may be really good from a risk-on perspective, the broader majority of the positions probably are not. So Jeff is asking about the price alerts popping up, and absolutely. I mean, the price alerts, just like any of the other windows. So if I open up a price alert window, I've got it set right here. But if I right-click in that window and I go to Actions, and I select Play Sound, we don't have the pop-up option. Okay, I will. I stand corrected, Jeff. I'm going to actually write that down and see why it was taken out. I imagine it was removed temporarily because of some bug that was introduced, but this should definitely pop up, and mine pops up. I don't know why. Maybe it was removed because it automatically pops up. Yours doesn't, so maybe you just need to get on the latest version. So I did very sneakily inside of the chat area. I dropped our latest, I don't even want to call it beta, but it's the one I've been using for about a week. I think it's pretty solid. So I have no problem letting you guys that are adventurous go ahead and download it. It's version 0.82, so 4.082. And I'm sure this pops up. Send me an email, Jeff, brad@trade-ideas.com, if your price alert window is not popping up. All right, guys, we are at the bottom of the hour. It's been an hour. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend it with me to talk about trade ideas. I love this product. I really do. So I hope you found it compelling and it's been informative. And if you have any other questions, info@trade-ideas.com, or send me something direct, brad@trade-ideas. Have a great evening, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.